Hi everyone, grApel here, and this is Catherine Apel with grApelations, and we're here to talk to you about food and wine pairings. Isn't that right? So, some people call wine a food accompaniment, because when you have a truly good wine pairing, the two are going to benefit each other. The food is going to taste better, and the wine will taste better. And it's really important that when you're pairing food and wine, you match the intensities. So you don't want a really strong flavor wine overpowering the food, and vice versa. You don't want a very pungent or strong food flavor overpowering your wine. So first we'll talk about a few principles in the interactions of food and wine. So salt. I like to compare food pairing to cooking. So when you're making a dish and you've added too much acidity to it, it's good to add a little salt. In turn, also when your food is too salty, try a little lemon juice or lime juice on it to help it out. So when you have a food that is salty and you pair it with a wine, then your perception of acidity in the wine will be lowered. So that's why foods like almonds or olives are great for pairing with wine. The next thing to think about is animal fats. So we always hear steak and Cabernet Sauvignon. In that pairing, the tannin in the Cabernet Sauvignon, or it could be a Syrah or a Grenache or a Petit Syrah, the tannin is counteracting with the animal fat. So your perception of tannin is lowered. That's why wine drinks so smoothly. That's why cheese is also a great pairing for wine. It's got that animal fat that'll coat your mouth, and so you can pair cheese with a wine that is either high in acid to kind of cut through that fat, or high in tannin to help clear your palate. And again, with that animal fat, your perception of tannin will be lowered. With sugar, it's always important to make sure the wine is as sweet as the dessert or sugary dish that you are eating. And you can't forget about, teriyaki or barbecue sauces that have a sugar level in it. Even, if that is sweeter than the dry wine you're drinking, it's going to negatively affect the way you perceive your wine. So you want your wine as sweet as the food. That's what I'm talking about. So you could do like a Chenin Blanc with a Petit Four, and that would be a really nice pairing. Then we need to talk about spicy foods. Not the kind of oriental spice, but rather heat spice. When you have high alcohol and tannin in a wine, it's going to make your perception of spice be greater. So if you're ever eating spicy food, it's good to go for lower alcohol, maybe a little sweetness in your wine, or bubbles. Bubbles pair with everything because it's such a quick finish and it's palate cleansing every time. So some things to think about. Oh, Catherine, you're not even paying attention. Some things to think about when pairing food is one rule is what grows together goes together. And so that's where you'd be getting, your Italian wines with Italian dishes, or Spanish wines with Spanish dishes. The idea being foods that come from the same area as the wine will pair together. Then there are two schools of thought when you're looking at pairing, complementary and contrasting. So in complementing, you would find a characteristic that's in the wine and in the food as well, and those two will complement each other. So if you've got, an earthy Italian wine like a Barolo, and you pair it with a mushroom dish, the earthy components of the food and the wine are going to complement each other. Now, the other would be contrasting, and that's where there might not be an element in the food that you want to highlight with the wine. So, you could be having lean chicken, rice, and a vegetable, and you want a nice acidity. Again, comparing it to cooking, that's a dish you might want to squeeze some lemon juice on. Well, you can get like a Pinot Grigio, nice lemony acidic wine, and because that flavor doesn't exist in the food, it becomes a good pairing. So that's kind of the contrasting idea. Contrasting can also mean opposites. So that's why salty cheeses pair well with port or sweet fortified wines. The old rule of thumb was have white wine with white meat or fish and have red wine with red meat. But the truth is, you can drink wine with whatever you want, as long as it tastes good to you. That's the important thing. So don't feel confined by any rules set out and just experiment. Try the wine with the food. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. But what's important is that you find what you like and enjoy it. So thank you very much for watching the video. Again, with grApelations, we have grApel and grApel. I hope you enjoy. Bye-bye.